Let me tell you about the 2 times politicians tried to change the rules and why they failed. Currently, when an MP defects to a different party, they don't have to stand for re-election in a by-election. The reason is that we elect an individual MP to represent our constituency, and that person can continue to represent our constituency even if they've changed to a different party. But some people think this is unfair, including these 2 MPs who tried to change the rules. In 2011, Conservative MP Chris Skidmore introduced a 10-minute rule bill. A 10-minute rule bill is where a backbench MP is given up to 10 minutes to give a speech about a new law they're proposing to the House of Commons. And if a majority of the MPs present vote in favour, then the bill will get its first reading, called the Members of Parliament Change of Party Affiliation Bill. What this bill proposed was essentially that any MP who switched parties would be treated as if they'd stood down as an MP altogether, meaning that a by-election would be held in their constituency in which they could stand as a candidate for the new party. Almost a decade later, another Conservative MP called Anthony Magnal introduced another 10-minute rule bill called the Recall of MPs Change of Party Affiliation Bill, proposing that if an MP defected to another party, then a petition would be held in their constituency, and if 10% of people signed that petition, then they would have to stand in a by-election. Both of these bills passed their first reading, which just means that the text of the bill has been printed and that they've been announced as bills and they should be debated in Parliament at some point. But the trouble is that time then needs to be allotted to debate these bills within the current session of the Parliament, and private members' bills like these, which are just bills that are introduced by backbench MPs as opposed to the government itself, often aren't prioritised amongst the many other things that Parliament needs to spend its time considering. And that's what essentially happened in these 2 cases. The bills were never allocated time to be debated in Parliament before the end of the session, and then they weren't followed up on. Who knows what would have happened had these bills had their second reading. Back in 2010, it seemed like the government at the time was pretty opposed to this whole idea, so maybe that one wouldn't have got through, But what do you think? If you were an MP presented with this kind of idea, would you vote in favour of it? Let me know in the comments, and if you found this video informative, give it a like, and follow for more content from me.